The Austin Powers movies are some of my favorite comedy movies to come out of the late 90s.
Oh, behave!
Although that isn't saying much, as I never really cared for most movies that came out in that time period.
Except for The Mask. I like The Mask.
For as popular as the series was though, only 3 games would ever get officially released. That being Austin Powers Pinball for the PlayStation 1, which is as lame as it sounds, and 2 exclusive games for the Game Boy Color, that being Oh Behave and
Welcome to my secret lair.
It is quite ironic that there are only 3 Austin Powers games that exist, and 2 of them were on the family-friendly Nintendo's handheld. Not to mention, both of these games received very poor reviews by critics, which honestly just makes me want to try them out even more.
Let's begin.
Bruh.
10 out of 10 opening. Wait, Rockstar made these games? Well, kind of. See, Tarantula Studios were the ones who did the game's actual development, and they were a division of Rockstar that mainly focused on their Game Boy Color games, such as the GTA games on the Game Boy Color and a few other things. So... technically? After a long opening, we finally reached a profile creator. Name? Jimmy.
Sex?
Absolutely.
Agent Jimmy, are you a man, baby? I can't tell if you're a girl or a man with hair like that.
Which would you rather have me be, Austin?
From here, Austin will ask us a series of questions, to which each one will provide unique dialogue depending on our answer, but they have absolutely no effect on the gameplay whatsoever. Reach the main menu will then lead us to the game's main home screen, which is set up like an old computer would be. This is less of an actual game and more of like an advanced activity center. There are 3 categories for us to click on. I guess we'll start with games, since that's pretty self-explanatory. The first game is literally rock, paper, scissors, or as the game calls it,
Throw me a frickin' stone.
After clicking on the game, we are then given the option to have 1 or 2 players, though I'm not sure who would actually use this for multiplayer. I mean, especially when you consider the fact you'd literally have to plug the Game Boy Colors into each other. Either way, we then get to select our opponent, of which all of them are Austin Powers villains. And from there, you play rock, paper, scissors. To be fair, there is a little bit of a strategy to this, as you must throw out your decision at just the right moment and not before, or you'll lose automatically. I mean, either way though, this is still rock, paper, scissors, and it doesn't really matter which opponent you pick, as none of them change the gameplay. And all the characters look absolutely ugly, especially Austin. Oh my gosh. Maybe the next game will be better. The next one is Mojo Maze. It's basically a way lamer version of Pac-Man, where you walk around a large maze and must pick up canisters of Mojo. And if you bump into an enemy, Austin cries like a little Oh. I guess I actually died. After scrolling down, our third minigame is Domination.
Excuse me?
Domination is basically a combination of Tic-Tac-Toe and Connect 4, with you going head-to-head against Dr. Evil to get the most points. It's probably the best minigame I've seen on here, but this still isn't really anything new or special. But perhaps that won't be the case for our final minigame, which is the platform game.
Goodbye, goodbye.
I can't believe it. They somehow made Austin even uglier. Why does he look like he's wearing high heels? Why is he so fat? So yeah, this last game is basically your stereotypical platformer where you play as a really ugly Austin, and that's it for the games category. The next category to go through is groovy stuff, which is where we can customize the computer's cursor, alter the taskbar's color, and choose a background and screensaver from 83 different choices. But that doesn't mean much since a lot of them look really ugly. The third category is gadgets, and is probably the most boring of the 4 categories. In gadgets, there's a format option to delete all your progress in the game, as well as a useless command input and an analyzer to check your Game Boy Color for errors and viruses. And then we have the final category, which is programs. Programs has several odd miscellaneous things in it. First, we have the shagulator, which is a simple calculator. As well as movie clip, which basically shows a small clip from the movies that is extremely low quality. And in case you couldn't get enough of that juicy compression, there's a bunch of sound bites that you can listen to as well. There's also a trading option that you can use to send your data from one Game Boy Color to another, but you have to have a cable to do this, and I'm not really sure what's the point of it. And then there is the internet mechanic, where clicking on it will lead you to an in-game website, which talks a lot about the lore and setup of the Austin Powers universe. And the final program we can click on is the Austin's Pad, which is a program that you can write long text entries in, and was apparently designed to be compatible with the original Game Boy printer. But the only thing you could print was text, so what was the point?
To MI6 headquarters from Agent Jimmy, I have successfully found the Austin Powers computer and have witnessed unspeakable horrors. It was full of nothing but
Alright, I think that's enough for this game. I guess let's move on to the evil version. Alright, now we have Welcome to my underground lair. Let's see if this one is better or worse than the good guy version. Just like in the last game, once we go through a lawn opening, we finally reach the profile creator. Alright, my name's Jimbo, and I'm a clone.
I just hope you don't turn out like Scott. I shall call you Hench Clone.
After answering a few goofy questions, we then reach the main menu of the game. This is literally the same game.
No, it isn't. It has Mr. Bigglesworth on it.
Yeah, this is literally the same game, as we see return of all the minigames, including the throw me a freaking stone one, with the only difference being you can face Austin Powers now instead of Dr. Evil.
The variety is impeccable.
The same thing also goes for the Mojo Maze and the Domination minigame as well, with only very slight aesthetic changes to them. Other than that, they're the same game. However, instead of having a platform game like the Austin Powers version did, this one has its own unique minigame, which is as hard as nuts. I literally could not get past the first level no matter how hard I tried. Still, despite that, it's not really a bad minigame, and it's one of the few things that are actually unique to this game that the other one doesn't have. Everything else in this game is really just the same thing though, with a new coat of paint. Customize your backgrounds, listen to sound bites, the Shagulator is now called the Friculator, and pretty much everything else is exactly the same or just changed to a villain-like theme. So yeah, that's the end of Austin Powers on the Game Boy Color. Both of them were... What are you doing? I'm trying to film a video! Oh, what do you mean there were two other Austin Powers games? I looked this up on Wikipedia! And we all know that Wikipedia is never wrong! The same year that the two first games were published, two more were in development before silently getting cancelled, most likely due to how badly received by critics the first two games were. But since this video is dedicated to Austin Powers and the Game Boy Color, I decided to go and play through both of these as well, just for the fun of it. And let's just say, you aren't missing out on much by skipping these. Both games are literally exactly the same as the other two. The only thing that Yeah Baby Yeah has that the other two games don't, is there is a unique minigame where you can drive around a car that's actually pretty decent. Other than that though, it's literally the exact same game, just with new wallpapers. Why Make Millions also has its own unique minigame involving jetpacks, but other than that, it's once again more of the same. Still, I can't get over the name of it. Thrust the two of us. The thing is that if someone were to take the core elements of all four games and combine them into one with a few extra additions, I don't think the games would have actually been that poorly received, but the problem is that all of them are just too bare bones on their own.
That was crap.
For everything I played of these games, honestly, they just aren't really worth revisiting.